We're Batman at 89. Hello, and welcome to another week of Bat Minutes 89, the podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and swoon over Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I am also your host, John Parker.
And this week we have another guest, who's one who's staying the whole week this time, unlike the hodgepodge of different guests we had last week. We're joined by friend of the show, artist, writer, and jack of all trades, Jack Harvey. Hello, Jack.
Hello.
And how are you today?
I'm all right. Yes, I'm looking forward to adding a podcast guest to my big list of trades.
Hey. Yeah, keep it going. I will keep calling you Jack Napier by mistake, though. I apologize.
Good. That's fine. It's good.
But anyway, today we're talking about minute 40. Bloody hell. Minute 40 of Tim Burton's Batman. Begins with Bruce Wayne rubbing his temples in exasperation, and it ends 1 minute later with the Joker laying down his plans for the future of Gotham, i.e. to run it into the ground. So
it's an interesting strategy, but we'll see where it gets him.
We'll have to talk about exactly... we'll get to it when we get to it, but like pitching this to a bunch of gangsters who's just like, we're just going to run the city into the ground. Is like, surely they'd want to keep up the city so they can continue to make money from it, but whatever.
Definitely. I mean, you can understand like Heath Ledger's Joker getting people on board with running the city into the ground. That's quite a different gang. These are like proper old school mob bosses.
Oh, yeah.
Would you go to Don Corleone and just say, Don Corleone, I'd ask a favor. Help me run this city into the ground. Is he going to say yes to that?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, I'll lose all my business, but I don't care.
But yeah, I suppose we're getting ahead of ourselves here. But we do get a little tidbit or a little snippet of the end of the last scene, where like we're talking last week with Lauren, we were just saying about this odd juxtaposition of Vicki Vale desperately clinging on to this relationship with Bruce, and him just trying to get her out the door as fast as possible. And we get the end of his Jesus, but he's rubbing his temples and everything. I'm just like, oh my God, come on.
Oh, he's got a splitting headache. He just wants rid of her. He's got Batmaning to do. Damn it.
He's got Batman responsibilities.
Yeah, exactly. She's ruined his whole day, his plans.
I think he's only been awake like 30 seconds, and already he's like, no, the whole day is ruined now. Like, I hope you just set me off on the wrong foot. But then we get, I thought it was very deliberate, because we see Vicki come down the stairs, but then the roof. I remember way back in the armory room, or the room full of different suits of armor, we were postulating that in the background they had the two shields that had like kind of X's on them. And I was saying like, oh, it's kind of like X marks the spot, because it's kind of like, this is an indication of this is where Batman is. This should be telling you this is the guy. And then here, because we know Vicki Vale is interested in Batman, that's the whole reason she's in Gotham. And she's walking down these steps, and there's X's right above her where the bedroom floor would be. And it's kind of like, could be accidental, but it could have been Tim Burton as well going like, well, there you go again. We could use that in the shot.
It needs Harrison Ford pointing at it.
Smashing it open a la Last Crusade.
But and then I was going to say like, oh, just coincidence. But in looking ahead a few minutes, X's pop up again. So I'm thinking there may be a thing to do with this. So,
and is this the main staircase of the mansion? Because it certainly doesn't look like it should be. This looks like a side thing.
Yeah,
is this where he sends the women when he wants rid of them?
This is just like, there's like a little cut bit of him going, not that door, the other like a little seedy side door that he's.
Well, Alfred is waiting there, right? Why is he waiting there? If it's not to usher a woman out, like, please leave. Come on, this way, ma'am.
Although I'm thinking though, this is a firm confirmation of like what we've been thinking already, that like Alfred's been pulling the strings to get these two together. So Bruce will give up this damn fool idealistic crusade.
Well, I think, I was thinking, I mean, it's interesting when you said about like where the X is intentional, where the unintentional. It's same with like his line when he goes, oh, we'll be around for quite a while. It's sort of like, is that subtly foreshadowing the fact that Alfred wants to like reveal that he's Batman to her, and is trying to, or is it just him being a terrible secret keeper?
Yeah, it's like we put, we've postulated the idea that like, oh, Alfred probably was the one who set up the date between the two of them in the first place. Like he looks at Vicki Vale with a kind of like, ooh, she'd be good for Master Wayne, and then now it's like he woke up. We're joking about it, but it's like he's woke up. It's like Alfred would usually get rid of the women, and he hasn't. And it's like he's waiting.
What's he doing?
Yeah, he's just down the stairs with a big grin on his face. It's like, oh, well, this is going well, isn't it? And then, like, it does seem like, even joking aside, Alfred is terrible here in that he is a terrible keeper of secrets, because later on,
terrible.
Spoilers for the rest of the film, he lets Vicki into the Batcave, and it seems to be like it must be deliberate. Like he must be trying to get Bruce's secret out, because it's like, surely you would know, like even in Alfred's background in the comics and stuff, he was supposed to be a stage actor. You'd think he'd know a bit about improv in terms of just like, she said, oh, so I'll see you when you get back, and you just go, oh, he's obviously told her we're going somewhere, I better keep up this subterfuge. But no, he's just like, oh no, we're going to be here for quite some time.
I like the way you say about improv, because now all I can picture is him going to the Upright Citizens Brigade, the UCB theatre, training with them.
Well, no, you've got to remember that, like, Michael Gough was in Doctor Who. He was in the Celestial Toymaker, so you could perhaps imagine that, in actual fact, in the Batman universe, Alfred was also in Doctor Who. Maybe he had a history in British television before he became a butler in the States.
Yeah. Why would it not be the same character? There's nothing in this movie to tell you he's not.
No. I mean, we could make that canon for the show right now. There you go. Alfred was an actor in Doctor Who. There we go. It's official.
It is.
That would be amazing.
It's been made.
I do love him in this scene as well, because I like the way he says, "It's nice to see you again, ma'am." Because I was particularly drawn to the use of the word "again," because I read this as him basically saying that he doesn't usually see Bruce's ladies. Like he gets rid of them as fast as possible, and Alfred's only ever seen them that one time.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah. And what I'm wondering though is, like, how long was he out in the staircase? Like, was there, when they were
all night?
When they were, he's like, oh, I'm going to bed. He was really like listening for them to nip off to the room, and he's like, oh, and he's been up there with a little glass right against the door. It's like, oh, Alfred, you sleaze.
It's perhaps dealt with like Bruce having a lot of women over, so maybe he's just narrowed it down to the very specific time that Bruce took the call shorter.
Well,
yeah, I suppose he wakes at very similar times every day, I imagine. But, so yeah, maybe he knows the schedule. He's like, he'll wake up then, he'll get rid of them by this time, I'll be ready.
He'll pinch his nose and go, Jesus, every single time.
You do have to wonder what Bruce's normal schedule is, though, because it's like, usually he'd be out all night. So Alfred would be used to waking him up at about like 3 or 4 p.m. But this is like, oh man, unless Vicky's been hanging around the house all day, and it's just like, and Bruce has been lying pretending to sleep in that sofa, going like, why isn't she leaving? Like, why is this still happening? So,
a bit like when you stay at someone's house and you wake up really early, but they're still asleep until like the afternoon, and you think to yourself, I should pretend that I'm still asleep. Maybe I shouldn't make any noise. But you don't know what to do.
That's why I don't like staying over anywhere. So we do get then Vicky's obviously then realizing that, like, finally getting into her skull that, like, I think this Bruce Wayne guy was lying to me and he's trying to get rid of me. And she wanders off, and then we get cutting to presumably this is we cut to presumably this is Alicia's apartment. But there's a missing bit. There's a missing bit from the original script here. I don't know if either of you two had this at all, or
I did not. I'm usually the original script guy. I have not got.
I was leaving a little because I thought like this would be a point where John will jump in with this, but no.
God damn it! I failed you.
There's a bit like I thought was quite interesting because it's Knox has started to look heavily into Bruce Wayne, and he's apparently sent off for like any photographic evidence of him. He's got back a file now, like one that's like old clippings from the newspaper, and it's apparently one of them is just like it's a random thing from a charity drive where just people are just like saying thank you to Bruce Wayne, and then underneath that there's as described as a photo from Bruce Wayne in 1973 where it's an ancient picture of a collegiate Bruce, stern-faced, hair down to his collar. And it's like, ooh,
what?
I would have liked to have seen that, but like,
I want to see that poking out of the mask when he's Batman.
But I'm assuming that's presumably him on his travels around the world.
Yeah, like what they elaborated on in Batman Begins.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, this is like him
Meeting up in Hong Kong or wherever.
Yeah, pretty much. And but it's just the idea because like I've seen with that kind of weird fuzzy hairdo that Michael Keaton has, I would love to have seen that down to his shoulders, like his shoulders. So I can imagine that's
glorious.
For some reason I have that the image that's more. It would go more like an afro route than it would like a like a long silky straight route, you know.
And you think there'd be quite a bit of height going on there?
Yeah,
that's what I'm picturing.
But then there's another little bit added on before because Knox adds in like, why don't you like your picture taken, which is indicating again Bruce Wayne doesn't like his picture taken. He's very secretive. But then there's a bit of Alicia coming into the front, the apartment building, and the landlord saying to her like, oh, your next 6 months rent has just been paid, and she's like, what? And presumably that was too much acting for Jerry Hall to do, so they cut that bit. And
oh, yes, because her acting that's coming up now is so good. They didn't want to detract from it, They didn't want to distract you from her lovely feint she's about to do. Spoiler.
Yeah. But when she comes in that apartment, it is huge. We saw a bit of it before, but it didn't look like it was this massive. I mean, Jesus.
Is it not maybe Grissom's apartment? Or
Good.
like another part of his sort of penthouse place, maybe?
Well, he's at least the guy who originally would be paying for it. At the very least. He's set her up with it, hasn't he?
See, I would say maybe, but it does look like... Because I remember being bugged by the TV being so low down that it looked... Like when you saw what we assumed was Alicia's apartment before, was like, there's a TV, it virtually looks like it's just sat on the floor. And the same TV is here. It's like, well, and maybe that's the best model TV. They all have this, but... And you have to have it at that level because that's where it belongs. And that's...
Oh, no, this annoys me. It's like people who mount their TV on the wall, but far too high for the sofa that they've got. So you're craning your neck up to watch stuff. Can't be doing with it.
This reminds me of that episode of The Office where like Michael Scott's showing off his TV, but it's like it's like a 10-inch screen or something that he's mounted on the wall. He has to kind of stand like really close up, like staring up at it.
Yeah, at least this is a bigger TV.
Mm-mm. Well, not by much, actually. But
well, it was 89. What do you expect? You remember the TVs when we were kids? Jesus.
Oh, God, yeah. I remember having at one in my room that was black and white, and you used to have to... you had to push the buttons in to get the channel, and if they popped back out, it went to static, and the button for number 6, which was Network 2 in Ireland, which was like the best station, that was broken, so I used to have a bit of sellotape that button down, and you'd just be sitting there, and all of a sudden you hear like, ding, and it just go, and like, oh, for God's sake, and I have to go over and do it all over again.
When you were trying to watch dodgy movies at 2 a.m, yeah?
Oh, actually, I was always trying to watch Third Rock from the Sun, because that was always aired surprisingly late at night for some reason, but anyway.
That is unusual.
But anyway, we see on Alicia's wall, or we're assuming this is Alicia's wall, that outside bit, unless I'm assuming that's not like the hallway of the building, that's the hallway of her apartment. But
yeah.
It has...
Oh, actually, wait though, is it? Because that's a very big doorway.
It could be
is that maybe the main door?
It could be an elevator. Like if she's going up to a penthouse, it could be like an elevator entrance or something like that, maybe.
She seems to kind of step in from the side though, which is a bit weird, but...
No, but I think the elevator might be down there, and this is just for an elevator.
Oh,
the reason I'm thinking that might be the main door to the apartment is... I mean, no, I've changed my mind. Because I'm leaving this in, I'm not editing it out. Because I thought it's the main door to her apartment, and she'd be a bit surprised. Oh, it's open. And the Joker's left it open.
Yeah.
Spoiler, we're about to see the Joker. But no, because if you actually watch it, she's not remotely surprised that door's open. She just walks in casually like that's how it's left.
Yeah.
So I'm torn again.
I don't think it has a door, though. I think it's just like a doorway. I don't think there's any...
You think?
I don't think there's any actual door to it. which would lend to the idea that it's inside the main apartment building. Because otherwise, why would you have your...
That kind of backs up the elevator theory. If the sort of like the slide open, like the doors of an elevator, they would be concealed when they're open.
Yeah. I think you're onto something with that.
Yeah, it could be it.
Damn it, we're going to get to the bottom of this. It takes us all day.
That's the most important thing in the minute, is these doors or lack of doors.
But I noticed though that it was probably this probably is me just reading in something to something that's not there. But I noticed, and she, much like Grissom, has a huge mural painted on her wall. And remember in Grissom's office, it was a mural of like women, and it seemed like, and hers now is a picture of a house. And it's sort of, I thought, like, is this a telling thing of their relationship? Was that like Grissom's mind goes to like women? He just likes trophy women and having beautiful women to hand, and he has it over his wall. Where she's more like, this guy is going to set me up, and I'm going to be I'll have a house to myself, I'm going to have money, I'll have my material possessions. And so her wall is indicating what she's all about. Whereas his was a bit more of his sleazy, like, that was my part of the relationship. I just wanted some sexy chick that I could do whatever I wanted to. And...
Yeah, absolutely. That's meant to reflect them. It's like a sort of a mirror to their inner thoughts.
Yeah, because you could tie that into the main feature of when we're first introduced to Wayne Manor is all the suits of armor, because inside Bruce Wayne is the Dark Knight. So it could all be part of the same sort of like cinematic presentation or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
No, definitely. And we see another important part of her character that's come up in the past. She's been shopping, which ties in with your materialistic thing. Yeah. She's got an arm full of shopping bags yet again.
Yeah.
She's spending.
Yeah, and then we get, off-screen voice of, darling, you'll never guess what happened to me today. But then, we get our first proper Joker outfit. And it's one we only see, like, one time in the whole film, but it seems to be, like, his at ease jacket. Where it's like, a smoking jacket, and it's like, the thing is, like, it's at ease, but he's got like a bow tie and a shirt and stuff on. It's like,
it's fancy as hell. Yeah. I mean, I want to sit around the house in this.
But it just seems like if you wanted to be at ease, the addition of a bow tie is just like, it's adding instant tension to your neck.
Well, and that little hat. Like what?
Yeah, that's the thing. So put I went, it's like a fez, but I don't think it is a fez. It's like, I know when the cliffhanger outro to the last episode. Lauren Ashley Carter says it is a fez, but she wrote that, not me. So if it's not a fez, you want to take all your complaints and go to her about that, okay? So
isn't there some kind of like specific designation for a fez? Like a fez is like a narrow one, and there's sort of like a wider version of a fez that has a different name.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
Like I'm guaranteeing like this is probably not even near the classification for a fez.
Mm-hmm. No, this to me looks like a smoking cap, as it's called, also known as a thinking cap or a lounging cap. I did look this up, but I wasn't 100%. And nobody really knows where they even come from, but it says similar to a fez. Yeah. So I think we're on the money. People think they might be Chinese or Arabic, but everyone just contradicts each other.
I don't know if you've pointed this out yet, but I don't think the Joker ever appears in this film without wearing something on his head, does he?
Oh, he does, but like he does wear hats quite a bit. But there's plenty of scenes where he's not got something on his head. Like it's.
He likes to rock those hats, though. He's pulling off some good looks.
Wears a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's again the next bloody scene we see him, and he's got a hat on there as well. But
it's interesting that all the sort of like Tim Burton stroke Schumacher Batman films have villains that have a fairly large wardrobe, like compared to like most other superhero films, where and even like the Timothy Nolan. What am I talking about? Even the Nolan Batman films, like the villains only really have like one kind of costume, whereas it's like a fashion show on display for the villains. in like these.
I love that. I think that adds a bit more personality to them. Whereas the other approach, which is weird for Nolan, because you think he might go for a realistic changing outfits thing.
Yeah, it's very
But
notable.
having one is very comic book. It's like you identify this character immediately. This is what they look like. This is their silhouette.
I think, and kind of almost like in with the Nolan version of the Joker, is like, I think that was partly one of the things they wanted to do with him, because they had the whole thing about like, oh, he never takes off the makeup and he always looks very greasy and unwashed. And it's like he's always wearing that suit, and it's like you see how sweaty he is and stuff, and you can imagine that suit probably reeks as well. But he's just like, no, I don't care, I'm crazy, like, or I'm not. Well, as he says, he's not crazy, but like,
Well, he does have at least one costume change though.
Oh, he does, yeah.
The
When
nurse
he's in disguise as the police officer.
Oh, and the police officer, yeah.
Oh, of course, the nurse. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
But yeah, we never see him, like, he would never show up in like this ensemble. It seems like he's very much like, no, I bought that one suit and that's me. Like, I'll wear costumes when I have to go in disguise, but when it's just the Joker, it's this outfit. Okay, so
well, one thing I noticed about Jack Nicholson's Joker here is, previously in the film when he was just Jack Napier, we pointed out how he's always putting his feet on things constantly, got his feet up on desks and whatnot. Here, now he's actually fully the Joker. Sorry, Joker. They haven't called him the Joker.
Yeah.
I'm
calling
now he
him
looks
the
more
Joker.
polite. Yeah, I want to call him the Joker. Now he's being more polite. He's just got his legs crossed nicely there. He hasn't put them on the table like he would have previously. He hasn't kicked anything over.
It could be that all his putting feet up where they didn't belong was some sort of internal passive aggressiveness. That now that he's just everything's out now, he's like, no, I don't need to do that anymore, because instead of just passively aggressively been horrible to people, I can just outright kill them if I just fancy it. So
yeah, probably is.
Just want to say as well, I absolutely love that shot of him just sitting on the sofa.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would have that printed out and framed on my wall if I could get that done, because it really does look that good. And it's kind of very, I think, reminiscent of The Shining in a way. It has a sort of Overlook Hotel kind of vibe to it. And also famously another film where Jack Nicholson was playing a nutcase in it.
like most of his roles.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like to rag on Tim Burton like a lot, really, to be honest. But but the guy knows how to take like a short, like 30-second scene and make that memorable. Like this scene, by and large, is kind of superfluous to the plot, but it's just really memorable and really.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't really care about this scene, should you? But you do. You remember it, definitely.
I'm wondering as well. Well, I was thinking about the framing of the shot, because as you said, it is fantastic. But it made me think of because he's directly underneath this huge painting a photograph of Alicia, where, like we pointed out earlier, it was like a bit of foreshadowing that, like, oh, she has the white face and red lips, and it's like that's where he's going. I'm wondering if it's set up like, because later on, his whole thing is that he's an artist, and at one point, when we find out what he does to Alicia, he introduces her, and he's like, well, she, like me, is now a living work of art. I kind of thought, is this supposed to be like a bit of going in tangent with that? It's like, well, she looks like that in a work of art, and he beneath it in the same shot is like, yeah, he now thinks of himself in this way. It was that he's going with from the horror of what's happened to his face to like, nope, I'm going with this now. I am a work of art myself. So
he's a good role model for body positivity, then, really. He's accepted what he looks like.
Yeah, and it ties into the characters as wall decoration kind of thing you were going on about earlier as well. Sort of, lots of sort of like stuff is communicated in paintings and photographs and stuff like that throughout the film.
Yeah, it seems quite common in this movie, and I'd never picked up on it before. Yeah, lots of things in the background are very important.
Yeah, there is a lot big obsession later on too, like with photographs as well. The whole, like, we'll get into that in the relevant minutes, but like the Joker, like, is making his collage of dead people out of photographs he's found, and he's sending Bob off to take photographs, and then Vicki Vale, of course, is a photographer, and then she saves Batman one time by taking pictures and all this kind of stuff. There's a whole big thing about photography that goes on throughout. It kind of begins with Alicia being a photograph model and stuff. But
yeah. Well, I had a question as well before you moved on there.
Oh yeah, but we'll work away.
I've just scrubbed through the minute there. What do you think the Joker's drinking, right? Because I assumed it was wine, but I'm questioning myself. The color is slightly clear.
I may be showing some sort of etiquette ignorance here, but I thought it was a martini glass, so I assumed martini.
Yeah,
but,
see, that's what I was leaning towards. I was hoping you were going to say
I was definitely thinking it's definitely some kind of classy, theatrical kind of cocktail.
Yeah, he's a martini man. I could see that.
Yeah,
definitely. Or like, if he had a Manhattan or an old-fashioned, as I've mentioned before.
He's bringing them back.
They're coming back in style.
But it reminded me as well of because most people would think, oh, martini, James Bond, but now my instant go-to is Mason Verger from Hannibal, where like he had the whole thing of, it's in the novel, but it's also in the show, where he like makes a kid cry and he takes like a little bit of litmus paper and soaks up his tears, and then you see him later putting the tears into a martini glass. And it's like, that is so hideously, stupidly evil that it's amazing. Like, I loved it.
That's a pure comic book villain move.
That was, I remember that was a real tone shift in that show of like, well, it's kind of realistic, sort of. And then that's just like, no, this guy's just a full-on supervillain. Like, it's like Hannibal meets like the Green Goblin or something. Like, it's just, it's crazy.
I'd like to see that in, like, that could be a Batman villain who does things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I always had an idea, like looking at Hannibal as like a villain in terms of like, he's manipulating events from afar. And in that show, like he's slight suggestions or tweaking things all over the place that eventually leads to getting people to do what he wants. And I always thought like it would have been a good, like when they were talking about like, oh, what's the third Chris Nolan Batman going to be about? And I remember the time thinking like that was when like Darren Brown was really big. And I thought like, wouldn't it be cool if they did like a version of the ventriloquist? But that's what he did. Like he's a Darren Brown mind controller. He's like, through suggestion, he could get you to do whatever you wanted and stuff. But
see, that'd be amazing. And that's what I think I might have brought this up on the show before. That's what I wanted. I don't remember his name now. The villain in Jessica Jones.
Oh, Kilgrave. Yeah.
Purple Man, yeah.
Him. I wanted him to do that. But it was, in the show, it was more like an actual magical power, which I found less interesting. I wanted him to just be able to manipulate minds in a realistic fashion.
You can look at it in Jessica Jones, like it is kind of like it's a metaphor, if you want. Like they're having to dip into like, because she's superpowered. And why would she listen to him otherwise? But it's like, oh, it's a metaphor for controlling relationships and whatnot.
Yes.
Jumping over to the other side of the fence. Well, we're already on the other side of the fence because you mentioned Jessica Jones, but you could do a similar thing with the Puppet Master in the Marvel films from Fantastic Four. You could do him as a sort of, okay, his puppetry is actually manipulation of other characters and things like that.
Although if they think that they tackle Fantastic Four again, I don't think they're going to go down that darker route to be like, no, if no one liked that last one. So, but they're that because like the original ones, the Tim Story ones with Jessica Alba and whatnot, like they were light, and it's just like, well, they didn't like the light ones, they don't like the dark ones. What the hell are we doing wrong? It's like
they're forgetting every other aspect of the movie making process.
What more could they possibly want?
Before we move on with Batman, though, as well, I know I mentioned it briefly before, but this is the moment where Alicia faints, and it's really not the best acted thing I've ever seen in my life. What is she doing?
Jerry Hall not acting well. Are you crazy?
And I mean, you don't see her fall, which is probably a sign that she doesn't know how to fall in a realistic limp fashion. Because you see her going down, and then you see the very end of it. You don't see anything in between. Someone's there to like lower her slowly.
She couldn't even do a David Jason as Del Boy properly. No, that's your fundamental as an actor. The very first thing they're supposed to ask you on day one is, can you do Del Boy falling through a bar while Trigger makes a face?
But this brings up like a big question I have though of what does Alicia know about what's happened? Because we don't know that she's been she's fainting. Is it because like, oh, he looks like this hideous clown with this horrible smile, or is it because like I thought he was dead, or like what?
Oh, it's both. I think.
Do you think that she was told like Grissom was just like, hey, I killed Jack. That kind of.
No, I think he'll have told her Jack went to do a job for him, and like the police have got him in that shootout.
Yeah.
He wouldn't admit to her, "Oh, I killed him."
Yeah.
I think he wants her to know that maybe, but without him saying.
You think it's an implied threat of like, he doesn't have to flat out say, I know you've been cheating on me, but it's like, yeah, Jack's gone. Like, he went to do a job for me, so let's just leave it at that. Like, that kind of...
Yeah.
It's like, but she's not going to run. Why would she, because, but she's not going to do anything. He would never do anything to her, but she thinks that he might because of the implication. So...
the implication, of course.
I'm not saying, you're not saying, but we all know.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Exactly.
But yeah, and then it's obviously like, do you think you would freak out if you came in and like saw your partner? Presumably, all you could say like, oh, it looks like he's wearing a load of clown makeup. Like it doesn't. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, like fainting at it. It'd be like, why are you wearing all this clown makeup?
Yeah, what the hell are you doing?
I guess maybe if it's like, oh, she heard he fell into a bunch of chemicals and then sees that he's showing there like with this horrible grin and this bleach white skin, she must be, I guess then her head's like, holy crap, what happened to him? But like...
It does sort of suit the style of the film though, because they are kind of going for this sort of, 1920s, 1930s kind of aesthetic. So like a woman becoming overcome with emotion and fainting is the kind of thing you would see in like old pulp novels and Dick Tracy and stuff like that. So
I will say though, put a pin in this for when it pops up later on. I'll give this to Jerry Hall. It's a better feint than Kim Basinger does later on in the film. And with what is like, I'm putting it down now. I've said several times what my favorite scenes in the films are. I'm telling you now, well in advance, that is the worst scene in many Batman films.
The worst scene.
Yeah.
Out of all of these original four.
No, it's worse than anything that's in like a couple of the other ones. But like
a couple.
Maybe it's not. It's there's worse things in Batman and Robin. I'll give you that. But like
the entirety of Batman.
Yeah, but there's we'll get to it when we get to it. But like, let me tell you, I'm warning. I think I know who has that scene as well, so I'm gonna prep him before we get into that.
I mean, I'm looking forward to you doing the Batman and Robin minute, because my opinion is that film kind of flips round from being like so terrible to being really good. Like it loops round on itself. But that's just my opinion.
Well, I do enjoy it. I mean, that doesn't mean it's good, but I enjoy the film.
Well, if you engage with it purely as a ridiculous comedy, it's an amazing film.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, but anyway, no, you save all that for when you eventually get round to it.
Yeah.
Many years from now.
But anyway, yeah, then we get we jump straight into what will become to fans of The Dark Knight a very familiar looking scene of the Joker talking to a long table full of Gotham's most nefarious criminals, basically, like all the top gangsters.
It's a very different type of scene to the one in The Dark Knight, though.
Is it?
I mean, well, with the type of people there, I mean, I think that's meant to maybe echo this, but they're a very different group of mobsters.
I think there's a lot of scenes that have that kind of dynamic with other Batman films and things as well, though, because I find that also the scene later on when he's in the Batjet and is flying towards the Joker and the Joker pulls out the enormous gun, that's kind of similar to the scene in The Dark Knight where he's charging towards the Joker on the Bat bike and the Joker's firing the guns at him and he's going, hit me or whatever. And so that's different because in this one, Batman's firing at the Joker trying to kill him, whereas in The Dark Knight he deliberately swerves out the way not to kill him. And so that's an interesting comparison point. Also, the art gallery scene is pretty much verbatim taken from an episode of the Adam West series where the Joker becomes a famous Gotham artist by defacing other people's paintings, and it's sort of almost exactly the same kind of scene.
But with a shocking lack of Prince.
Unless it had like teenaged Prince on the soundtrack, like doing really terrible songs.
Child prodigy Prince, while Cesar Romero dances around listening to a gramophone record of it.
somebody needs to cut these things together and stick it on YouTube, please.
But anyway, and we get this. We're focused on the character of Antoine Rotelli is the first gangster we see at the head of the table, which I'm assuming is supposed to give him some sort of level of authority. Like, he's, of all these guys, he's the main one. But and then I'm just looking at the cavalcade of other gangsters we've got here, because there's a fellow we'll talk a bit more about on other minutes when he has a bit more to do. Vinny Ricorso. And then it's a range of, like, it's a really completely clean, bald, shaved head, kind of glum Richard O'Brien looking guy. There's there's like an elderly Sam Elliott looking fella that's like down near the end. And then my favorite one
is he the one on the left?
Yeah.
That's brilliant, because I just thought, he looks like Einstein, but I like your version much better.
But actually, you say that now, he does look like Einstein, but
and I thought the guy on the right looks like someone, but I'll see what you say.
The guy on the right's my favorite, because he's just like some kind of, he looks like he's like an ancient pimp. Like, he's, because not so much he's sitting there in the building. He's got the overcoat over his shoulders, like that move of like wearing it.
Classic.
Yeah,
look.
wearing it a bit like a cape, and he's got the sunglasses on indoors. Always an asshole move of the rich and powerful. And then to make sure you know that he's a pimp, he's got a leopard skin fedora planted in front of him. I was like, this guy's amazing. Why couldn't he have been Grissom? I would have totally watched the whole. I would have been rooting for him over the Joker. Like,
well, Niall, you're a hat man. Would you wear this hat?
I think on a fancy night out, yeah, I'd don that hat. That's
I think you're not allowed.
I know what to get you for your birthday then.
You're not allowed to unless you're officially part of the pimp union, though, are you?
Do you have to have a card?
All right, we'll have to cut that part out now in case any pimps are listening to this and they come knocking. But
Pimp Pod. I got the impression he kind of looked a bit, to me, I'm weird though, I'm blind. To me, he looked a bit like Stan Lee dressed as a pimp wearing some cataract glasses.
He's not un-Stan Lee like, yeah.
maybe this is where the origins of the Stan Lee cameo originated. Maybe somebody was watching this and was like, "Yeah, let's get Stan Lee in a film as a pimp."
That won't get old. If we put him in every one.
Amazing.
I mean, he does appear in, I think it's Iron Man 2 in a Hugh Hefner style smoking jacket, doesn't he? So
yeah.
Yes, he does.
Is it Iron Man? I thought it might have been Age of Ultron, but yeah, no, he is some kind of Hugh Hefner-esque character in one of them. Yeah.
Well, something else I like, actually, you mentioned the guy at the head of the table.
Rotelli,
who looks like he's straight out of a Hammer horror film, may I point out. But, I mean, the eyebrows, beautiful. But he's wearing a tie with the kind of shirt that I would think to wear with a tuxedo. Like, is that orthodox? Is that a normal combination that I'm not getting onto because I'm a poor piece of crap?
I think, again, it goes back to the sort of 20s, 30s kind of aesthetic, because it kind of strikes me as more of a sort of like an 1800s Isambard, Kingdom Brunel kind of.
It made me think, actually, like, I'm sure that's what they're going for, that old like old gangster aesthetic. But it made me think of like an old time Undertaker. Because I can imagine him with like a top hat, and it's just that exact outfit, only the tie is black. And it's like, there you go, that's an Undertaker, you know?
Yeah, just give him the top hat and it's done. Yeah, you don't have to change anything else. He looks half like he's a corpse anyway.
I will say, because I might as well bring it up now, that because you mentioned about the eyebrows. Because this actor here playing Antoine Rotelli is Edwin Craig, and apparently it's on his IMDb. It says, like, you know, the kind of notable things about him is known for his bushy eyebrows. And then apparently he appears in an episode of House of Lies as a character called Eyebrows. So
yes, I was going to say that as a joke. Oh God,
But he's been about, this guy. Apparently, born in 1937. He's not British. I assumed he would be, because everyone else who's not a main player in this film is British. He's not been in an episode of Doctor Who, which is a shock. But apparently he is in Hellraiser 2. And he's also in Who Framed Roger Rabbit as someone called the Arthritic Cowboy, who, like, I can't remember that from Roger Rabbit, but like maybe if I watched it now, I'd be like,
it sounds like a character you wouldn't forget, but nothing's coming to mind.
Yeah. But yeah, so, and then as we said, we alluded to at the beginning of the old minutes, the Joker is talking about like until Grissom resurfaces. And it's kind of like, what has he told them?
No.
Are they thinking he's done a runner, or is he like, he's not just flat out said like, look, I killed this guy and now I'm in charge? Like, it seems like he's trying to sell them some kind of cock and bull story. Like, it's.
Well, again, I think it's like the Alicia thing.
Yeah.
I think he's telling them this cock and bull story, but the implication to them is, I killed him.
Yeah,
you know I killed him. So listen to me.
But and then we get to the point then where he says like, they're starting with this anniversary festival. We run this city into the ground, and that's when the action ends. But again, why would you come to a bunch of gangsters who are making money off the city and be like, I want to destroy the city. Like, I'm going to completely bankrupt all the businesses. I'm going to completely wipe it off the map because that's my want, basically. But
what are they going to get out of this? What's the plan?
Like, this isn't how organized crime works.
yeah.
Generally, no. Generally, they want things to be running quite smoothly, don't they? Why would they be paying off the cops all this time anyway?
This could be the thing that the Joker hasn't thought through himself. It's like, they'll be up for this, right? And it's like, he just didn't think like, of course they won't want to do that. But
it's weird for this Joker. Again, I think I said earlier, I get it for Heath Ledger's Joker because he's got a completely different goal in mind to this Joker. He's got a different attitude, a different vibe. Jack Nicholson's one, I don't get what he would gain or what he's trying to gain. Like, it doesn't really ever elaborate.
It's more like he's not quite as much about like, chaos. Like, it's, I want to just cause chaos. It just seems, because his whole thing is that it's like he gets in this whole artistic, I'm an artist and I'm going to create this grand work of art and what I do throughout the city and stuff.
It's more egotistical than Ledger's Joker. He wants his face on the $10 bill. Is it that he says later on?
I think it's the $1 bill. Yeah.
Or the $1 bill. Yeah. He wants everybody to know what he's done, and he's got this kind of rivalry with Batman because Batman's stealing the spotlight, and he wants the news speculating about him, not the mysterious Batman.
Yeah. I think it probably can go right back to, when he first meets with Eckhart, and it's the whole, like, as we mentioned at the beginning of this episode, like the whole, you ain't got no future, Jack. It's like, he's always been the bridesmaid, but never the bride. And he's always been under Grissom's thumb. And now it's like, I'm doing whatever. I'm going to go with whatever impulse that I feel, because I'm the big shot now. And it seems to me more like it's just a guy going, like, I've had to, mill about under other people and just sort of be forever second best. And now that I'm done with that, I'm going for broke. I'm like gonna just do whatever I want, and the world can go to hell anyway for all I care. So that's the action for this minute, though. Like, has anyone else got any notes that they want to bring up? Or
I've got a bit of a long sort of like siege that I'm building up to, so better save it for the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, well, stay tuned, folks. Yeah, tune in later in the week. But that does it for minute 40 of Batman. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. That's very important. Review us, and, if it's a nice review, we might read it out, because we're lovely, lovely people. And join us on Facebook at the Batminute89 Listeners Society. You can tweet us at Batminute89 and look us up on Instagram and, pretty much anywhere. Jack, have you got anything you would like to promote while you're on?
Yeah, generally, I as you mentioned earlier, I do comics, writing. I've got a bunch of books that are available. If you want to check that out, you can find them all at ljackscomicsblog.blogspot.co.uk. That's EL at the start, Spanish for the, I believe. So ljackscomicsblog.blogspot.com, and you're on, I am on, Twitter under L Jackington, EL_JACKINTON.
Great. Yeah, make sure to check all those out, everybody, and join us again on Wednesday, where we'll be back for minute 41 of Batman.
Next time, can the Joker convince some cowardly criminals to join his crazy conglomerate? Or is the show over for the Crown Prince of Crime? Tune in next time. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.